Back, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network, website thisweekinamerica.us. Talking, as mentioned, about the phenomenon of the White House Garden. In March of 2009, Michelle Obama came forward with the White House Garden. It's been the topic of news stories. It's been the topic of discussion and actual activity in schools all across the country. Even the hit TV reality series Iron Chef of America, filmed part of the series there. The president talked about the garden and growing seeds on an appearance on Sesame Street. So it's something that's all over right now. And to talk about it on the program today and the good that's come out of this is Clara Silverstein. She's a food journalist and author of the new book, A White House Garden Cookbook Recipe. Clara, welcome to This Week in America. Great to have you with us.
Thank you.
You know, it's interesting. We hear a lot about the White House Garden now, but you talk in the book, this really is not a new phenomenon. It may be with the scope that we have now, but White House Garden goes back a number of years. Tell us a little bit about the history.
It actually, the very first president to live in the White House was not George Washington. It was John Adams. And he asked for a garden and was planning to harvest it, but then he left office. So in came Thomas Jefferson, and he was the first to really get a garden going. And as it so happens, he was really interested in gardening. So he brought over seeds from Europe and tried those, and he was always experimenting. So now in the garden, there's a plot for Thomas Jefferson with some of the descendants of the plants that he had at his home in Virginia, Monticello. So that's a nice connection.
Yes, and I know you talk in the book about the Victory Garden, which a lot of people can remember when they go back on history and think about that era in history. But Victory Garden was very prominent as well.
That's right. And so before Michelle Obama planted her garden, during World War II, Eleanor Roosevelt had a Victory Garden on the lawn. And it was smaller than Michelle Obama's garden, but the idea was that it was about American self-sufficiency. Americans could grow their own food, didn't need to rely on other countries for that. So that was the message there. And of course, now the message is more about health.
Yeah, and I understand this. There's never been a White House garden as expansive as this garden is.
That's right. It's about 1,000 square feet. They just added on a few more square feet this year to grow more things. And last year they harvested 1,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables. So that's pretty good for the very first year of it.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit. And you're listening to This Week in America on the Blue Funk Broadcasting Radio Network. Clara Silverstein is our guest, author of A White House Garden Cookbook, talking about the White House Garden and the impact that's had on kids. And I know one of the motivating factors was the high obesity rate among kids. Tell me the correlation between that and what she's attempting to do, the First Lady's attempting to do in the White House Garden.
Well, one of the motivations for her starting the garden was her own children. She wanted them to eat more fruits and vegetables and be healthier. And so she thought if she started right at home, literally in her backyard, she would give them the message that if you grow your own food, it tastes better and it's more fun to eat that. So it started that way, but then it kind of grew from there and really was able to incorporate larger messages about health and about getting in touch with our food supply. So many people think that what we eat is coming from the supermarket in a package, and of course that's not the case.
Yeah, a lot of kids, that's their only connection, especially city kids. It's like, well, I see to the grocery store and they must have a plot of land out back and that's where they grow everything. They don't actually know what that connection is. What actually is being grown in the garden?
There are 55 different kinds of fruits and vegetables, so that might sound like it would take up the entire south lawn, but some of them are very small and contained. A lot of them are herbs. But they have the kinds of fruits and vegetables you'd expect. They have some berries, they have tomatoes, carrots, cucumbers, lettuce, very popular things. And then they also have some more unusual things. They have Thai basil, which is a spicier kind of basil than the Italian kind. They have kohlrabi, which is a very strange-looking vegetable. It's a root with twisty stems. They have fennel, which is another root vegetable with very frond-like stems. So there are a lot of different things out there.
Mentioned Clara Silverstein, our guest on the program, author of A White House Garden Cookbook. The neat thing is you've taken everything in the garden and you've been able to come up with recipes that you say are tested recipes, and adults like them and kids like the recipes using ingredients from the White House Garden. What are some of the recipes?
Well, that's right. What we did to get the recipes was we went to community gardening groups around the country that work with kids, because we realized that they know exactly how to use these vegetables and how to present them in simple and family-friendly ways. So one of the recipes I really like to make is a pizza, the crust, of course, doesn't come from the garden, but then you can top it with anything you want. And so one of the recipes is from Noah Sheets, who's the executive chef at the New York Governor's Mansion, also works with a lot of kids. There's Swiss chard puree on top, Swiss chard pesto, and then you have roasted eggplants. And then you can also top the pizza with tomatoes and basil and more traditional things. So that's really flexible. There are also recipes from the White House. Michelle Obama is a real fan of this no-cream creamed spinach. It's a variety where it's pureed instead of mixed with cream. So that's an example of something that came from the White House.
There are a lot of great recipes in the book. The book is called A White House Garden Cookbook. Clara Silverstein, food journalist, has been our guest on the program. Got about 30 seconds left in the show. I'm assuming that you feel there are a lot of these recipes here that can actually introduce to the kids, and the kids are going to enjoy these.
Absolutely, and they're easy to make and they're fun, so there's no reason to be afraid of fruits and vegetables. This book will tell you how to get them into your kitchen.
And that's always something when you mention fruits and vegetables, kids go, oh, geez, can't we have a chocolate bar or something? But this is actually how to make these attractive to the kids. Clara Silverstein, the book is called The White House Garden Cookbook. We'll have Clara back on another program to talk a little bit more about what's going on at the White House Garden and the impact that will have, hopefully, on kids and their eating habits in the country. Clara, thank you for joining us on This Week in America, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.